In Five Nights at Freddy's Sister location, Circus Baby puts Mike in a Springlock suit. This is to protect him after being attacked by Funtime Foxy on the third night. But the question has to be asked, why is a Springlock suit in Sister location, and what Springlock suit is it? Because it's currently unknown who or what the Springlock suit is, and Scott Cawthon himself even refused to answer that question. But today we're going to be solving that mystery, my friends, and revealing exactly whose the Springlock suit was, and why it was even in the Sister location to begin with. So get ready, because this is gonna be wild, because when the player is put in this Springlock suit, all you can really see is a strange smiling mask surrounded by Springlocks. Now what is extremely interesting is this Springlock suit's faceplate is similar to some other Funtime animatronics, but it's notably different to that from Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, meaning this couldn't have been a Spring Body Spring suit or the original Fredbear Spring suit, meaning this is a completely brand new Springlock suit, which no one has ever seen before. But whose it was, why is it even in Sister location to begin with, and is it related to Afton? Well, if you actually look closely, the mouth does appear to be a similar design to Funtime Chica's, but obviously the eyes have wider sockets and a narrower mouth/beak socket, kinda like Toy Chica's beakless mouth. And the mystery only gets deeper because all of these advanced suits in the Sister location are somehow involved with this seemingly random ancient Springlock suit. We've already established that it can't be a Golden Fredbear or a Spring Bonnie suit, and it cannot be one of the Funtimes, because I know a lot of you in the comments might be thinking, oh, it's a Funtime animatronic. That cannot be the case. All the Funtimes were built hollow. They are not Springlock suits. Yes, they were built hollow, but they are not Springlocks like we see with this suit, meaning it cannot be a Funtime variant. And that makes the mystery even more deeper, because why would there now be a seemingly useless suit in Sister location? Especially because the fact Sister location featured all these advanced animatronics, the technology. So this old decrepit Springlock suit doesn't make sense, but Baby mentions something extremely interesting.
Try not to wiggle though. You're inside something that came from my old pizzeria.
Now that right there is a huge clue that it came from an old place, meaning it could only be pizzerias before the events of Sister location. That does make it a little tricky though, because we don't know where Sister location is placed 100% in the timeline. But what we can 100% say with certainty is that it features pizzerias from FNAF 1, 2, or 4. It can't feature any animatronics from FNAF 3 because the only animatronic in FNAF 3 was Springtrap. So although it doesn't narrow it down much, they're the only real old pizzerias. The original location, FNAF 2s, FNAF 1s. But wait, Baby herself reveals a crucial detail which we basically just missed. It came from her old pizzeria. Where has Baby ever been featured? She's not an animatronic in any of the old pizzerias. FNAF 1, 2, 4. She's only been featured in Circus Baby's Pizza World. Obviously she comes back as Scrap Baby in FNAF 6, but we're not talking about that. So this Springlock suit we're inside of then on night 4 is from her old pizzeria, meaning it would have to be one of the Funtimes or possibly Ennard. One of the reasons why it could be Ennard is the shape of the face. The middle parts point out, and the nose would be on the outside. But then again, thinking about it logically, it cannot be Ennard. Ennard's faceplate is its entire face, while this Springlock suit only has plates on the front. Not to mention, if you look closely on the inside of the suit, it's actually a tannish brown color. Also, this suit's lower plates are shaped into a mouth, whilst with Ennard, the upper plates and lower plates are the things which form the mouth shape. Two completely different types of plates. And if you need any more proof, there's no nose on the end of these plates. With Ennard, you would have seen a dent or even at least the red Sophia on the end of these plates. This also renders a whole list of pre-established characters out of the running, but we can narrow it down even further. Taking a look at the inside of this spring suit, we can see that the character has faceplates. The only animatronics that we know of that exhibit this design were specifically built by William, because Henry's designed suits and animatronics don't feature any faceplates at all. They're completely absent, meaning only one thing, that William had actually created this Springlock suit. That makes sense anyway, right? Because he's the one who built Circus Baby, and the Funtime animatronics are under his copyright. Now thinking back to what Circus Baby said, that we know it originated from Circus Baby's Pizza World, would narrow the list down even further. Does that mean then that this suit we're inside of could be Funtime Chica? For this to even be possible, it'd have to mean that Funtime Beaker didn't have her beak attached, which we know isn't a problem because that happens with Toy Chica. She can easily take off her beak.
Yeah, I done a whole video on Toy Chica and why she removes her beak. I highly recommend... Oh, nearly dropped it then. Highly recommend checking that out after you finish watching this.
Because the eye shape would make sense, the mouth shape would make sense if the beak is removed. So could this be the alleged Springlock suit we see? We're just simply inside of Funtime Chica? Well, for that to be the case, that would mean that Henry would have had to have secretly built this Spring Chica suit and building it with a faceplate design, which he has never done. And that would also mean that it's never been mentioned, referenced, or even acknowledged at all.
That would also mean that Chica would have to exist at the pizzeria completely unseen by anybody at all.
Now, I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but Henry building a face-plated animatronic Springlock suit is. There's no evidence to support this. And this part is extremely interesting. Looking at the inside of the mask, you can see that the face is completely separate from the rest of the head. I mean, if you look at the Funtimes, their faceplates don't just stop at the face, it's their entire head.
But this Springlock suit is just the face, literally just the face.
Meaning this is the only face-plated animatronic whose faceplates stop at the sides and around the face. Now, immediately, people's thoughts jump to the puppet. It has the same face design, the mouth. Yeah, sure, the eyes are slightly different, but it fits. But especially as we learn later on that the security puppet animatronic from the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator has basically the exact same mask, facial structure, but it can't be them. Because Baby tells us something extremely interesting, and this is what she says.
It's just big enough for one person to fit inside, but just barely.
Obviously, that's still very vague, but it does tell us that a person can fit inside of the entire suit. A person could not fit in a spring puppet suit. The build of the puppet is far too skinny, just wouldn't work. So even though there are similarities with the puppet, this isn't a spring puppet suit.
Baby also says that the Springlock suit has not been used.
At least not the way it was meant to be used.
To me, that was a huge hint. This character has never been seen before. It's never been displayed out on parade at the front of a pizzeria. Never been used. William would have built this. A Springlock suit with the intention of someone being inside of it, and at least not used the way it was supposed to be used. A huge hint again that Baby knows about Springlock failures and people being inside of them.
And at the time William was making this suit, he was obviously a human. He wasn't in Springtrap. So the fact that Baby references Springlock failures, she's not referencing Afton, she's referencing something else.
And this to me is the whole crux of this entire theory. William Afton built this suit. This prototype Ballora suit. I mean, the mouth shape fits, the eyes basically the same. The only issue is the faceplate of Ballora. If we're comparing her with his actual Funtime design, but we're not. We're comparing this with a spring suit design, a prototype, which judging by what Baby said, he had the intention of having a human inside of, but he used it in the wrong way, or at least was never used in the way they intended. And the fact of the matter is, it was made a Springlock tells me he made this when Springlocks were in operation very early in the timeline. Probably why he was still making Baby. And when I mean not in the way he intended, Baby references this directly. She says it was never used, at least not in the way it was intended to be used.
Not the way it was meant to be used.
Meaning someone potentially would have been in that suit, maimed or even killed.
Now whether that was intentional or that something just happened by accident, who really knows? But this is William Afton.
Which could then bring in the theory that William Afton's wife could have also been Springlocked in this suit. Now whether Afton murdered her on purpose or it was another accident, this could then give reasons to why Springlocks were also abandoned.
But all that is just a theory.
But one thing that is pretty clear to me is that this is a prototype Ballora suit. We've done all the evidence. We've ruled things out, ruled things in. And the only thing which fits to me is a prototype Springlock Ballora suit. It'd be big enough just to fit a person inside of. It has the facial structure, fits the timeline, and the person who built it, to me, makes complete sense. But what do you think? I'd love to know your thoughts and theories on this in the comments below, especially the Mrs. Afton Ballora prototype theory being Springlocked. I love that idea. I just don't have the evidence with me right now, but I may do that in a future video.
And in addition to this, we'll have memberships enabled very soon. So if you want your name in the credits as a producer, keep a lookout for becoming a member.
And if you enjoyed this, hit the like button and subscribe for plenty more upcoming on the channel. I'm Twisty from Twisted Animatronic. Stay safe out there, superstars.
But we're going to be solving that mystery today, my friends, and revealing exactly whose the Springlock suit was and why he was in Sister location to begin with.